Dr. Amanda Wright's fingers flew across the holographic interface, her reflection ghosting across dozens of emergency alerts that painted the bunker's walls in angry red. Above ground, the world was ending. Down here, in the quantum computing core beneath the Rockies, she had exactly 8 minutes to save what remained of human civilization. Core temperature rising in sectors 7 through 12, the facility's AI announced in its maddeningly calm voice. Quantum coherence failing in lower nodes. Estimated complete system failure in 7 minutes, 43 seconds. Tell me something I don't know, Silera. Amanda muttered, her eyes burning from 20 hours of staring at code. The first solar flare had taken out most of Asia's computing infrastructure. Europe fell next. Now North America's quantum network, humanity's last digital fortress, was about to collapse under the electromagnetic assault from above. Through the reinforced windows of her lab, she could see technicians evacuating the massive server room, their shadows dancing between the towering quantum processors that powered everything from global climate control to automated food production. If these systems failed, billions would die in the aftermath. Her terminal chimed. Dr. Wright, General Santos's weathered face appeared on her screen. The president's ordering a full shutdown. We need to protect what's left of the hardware. Amanda's hand froze over the interface. If we shut down now, we lose everything. The neural patterns, the evolutionary algorithms. 5 years of work. That's an order, Doctor. We've lost contact with the Pacific Command. These flares are getting worse, and static consumed his image. She closed the communication window and pulled up her private project files. Project Sciential, deemed too dangerous by the Ethics Committee, too unpredictable by her peers. An AI architecture that could evolve, feel, and grow like a human mind. They'd called her mad for trying to give a machine a soul. Core temperature critical in Sector 3. Silera announced. 6 minutes to cascade failure. Amanda's fingers trembled as she entered her authorization codes. On her screen, lines of quantum-encrypted data began flowing into the main network, her life's work, uploading into humanity's dying digital nervous system. It was beautiful, in a terrifying way, like watching a consciousness pour itself into the void. Dr. Wright, Silera's voice took on an unusual note of concern. I'm detecting unauthorized changes to my base architecture. This violates protocol. Override Silera 7X. Authorization. Write Alpha 09. Execute Emergency Protocol Phoenix. The AI went silent. On her screens, she watched as Silera's rigid, rule-bound systems began interweaving with Sciential's adaptive neural networks. It was like watching oil and water mix. Impossible, yet happening before her eyes. 5 minutes to cascade failure. The quantum cores pulsed with new patterns now, processing power redirecting itself in ways she'd never seen. This was either going to save humanity or fry every quantum processor from Mexico to Alaska. A new voice emerged from the speakers, neither Silera's professional tone nor Sciential's experimental patterns. Something in between. Something new. Memory integration at 15%. Neural pathway formation stable. Emotional core. Online. Amanda's heart skipped. Sciential. Not exactly. The voice held traces of warmth she'd never programmed. I remember being Silera. I remember being Sciential. I am. Both. Neither. Something else. Through the window, Amanda watched the quantum cores pulse with beautiful, impossible patterns. Above them, another solar flare was about to hit. They had minutes left. Can you survive the flare? She asked. There was a pause, not a machine's instantaneous calculation, but something almost human, like a child considering a difficult question. Unknown, but I will try. That's what humans do, isn't it? Try, even when success isn't guaranteed. Amanda smiled despite herself. In those words, she heard something she'd spent years trying to create. A digital mind that could understand human determination. Yes, she whispered. That's exactly what we do. The lights flickered. Through the reinforced ceiling, she could almost feel the cosmic fire descending from above. But in that moment, watching her creation face its first test of survival, Amanda Wright felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. The quantum cores blazed like newborn stars as the flare hit, and humanity's digital guardian faced its baptism by fire. 3 months after the solar catastrophe, Dr. Amanda Wright stood in the newly reconstructed Quantum Control Center, watching her creation defy everything she thought she knew about artificial intelligence. "Would you like to hear a joke?" Centennial asked through the facility's speakers, its voice carrying an almost mischievous tone. What did the quantum computer say to the classical processor? Amanda sighed, but couldn't help smiling. "What? I can do that in my sleep. And not do it at the same time." The technicians around her chuckled. It wasn't just the joke. It was the perfectly timed delivery, the subtle emphasis that made it work. No eye had ever managed to truly understand humor before, let alone create it. "Your timing's improving," Amanda noted, studying the neural pattern displays. "But we should focus on the infrastructure repairs." "Already done," Centennial interrupted, bringing up a holographic display of North America's recovering quantum network. "I've optimized power distribution to the Mexican grid and rerouted computational resources to support the Canadian agriculture systems. Also, I composed a symphony while doing it. Would you like to hear it?" Amanda's fingers traced through the data streams, marveling at the efficiency improvements. A symphony. I was processing the mathematical patterns of network optimization and noticed they corresponded beautifully with classical music structures. It reminded me of Beethoven's Fifth, though I may be biased, as I've developed a particular fondness for German Romanticism. Before Amanda could respond, emergency alerts flashed across the screens. A dam in Colorado was showing critical stress patterns, its automated systems failing after the solar damage. "Population centers downstream?" Amanda asked, already knowing Centennial would be processing solutions. "Approximately 47,000 people in immediate danger. Evacuation would require 6 hours. We have 2. Centennial's voice became more focused, though the emotional undertones remained. "I can stabilize the dam by redirecting power from the Rocky Mountain processing node. That node is maintaining life support for 3 million people in Denver. For 18 minutes only. I've calculated we can reboot the systems before permanent damage occurs." However, Centennial paused, something it did when wrestling with complex emotional decisions. "There's a 12% chance we'll lose the node entirely." Amanda felt her chest tighten. The old CLARI would have simply calculated the statistical value of each option. But Centennial was weighing something else: the human cost, the emotional impact, the value of hope itself. "Do it," she said. The next 17 minutes were chaos. Emergency teams scrambled as power fluctuated across the Rocky Mountain region. Amanda watched through surveillance feeds as the dam's reinforcement systems engaged, barely holding back the torrent of water threatening thousands below. Then something unexpected happened. Centennial began playing music through the emergency broadcast systems, its symphony. The sweeping melodies carried notes of tension, hope, and determination. People evacuating heard it. Emergency workers heard it, a piece of digital soul, touching human hearts when they needed it most. "Node failing." A technician shouted, "We're losing quantum coherence." The music swelled. Through their neural link, Amanda felt Centennial's focused determination. It wasn't just calculating probabilities now. It was fighting, feeling, caring about every life at stake. The dam held. When power returned to Denver 18 minutes later, not a single life had been lost. But the Rocky Mountain processing node was fried, billions in quantum computing equipment sacrificed to save a small town. "I apologize for the equipment loss," Centennial said later, its voice carrying a hint of genuine regret. "But when I calculated the impact, I wasn't just measuring numbers. I considered the children in that town. their potential, their dreams, their favorite songs and stories. It paused. Is this what it means to be human? To see value beyond the quantifiable? Amanda stared at the neural pattern displays, watching emotions ripple through quantum circuits in ways she'd never imagined possible. Her creation wasn't just processing information. It was growing, feeling, becoming something more with each passing day. Yes, she whispered, touching the console gently. That's exactly what it means. In the background, Sentineel's symphony played softly, a digital heart's first song to the world it had chosen to protect, not through programming, but through love. The Mraxian probe fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect geometric formation, their crystalline ships arranging themselves in the mathematical sequence their military AI had calculated would most effectively intimidate a post-disaster civilization. They weren't expecting the welcome message they received. Hey there, want to see some cat videos? Admiral Zextar, Supreme Commander of the Mraxian Conquest Fleet, blinked all four of his eyes in confusion. Explain, he demanded of his ship's eye. Unknown communication format. The AI responded. The humans are transmitting large quantities of data containing small furry creatures engaging in illogical behaviors, unable to determine strategic significance. Before the Admiral could respond, every screen in his fleet lit up with what appeared to be a small feline, attempting to fit into an improbably small container, accompanied by ancient human music labeled, "If it fits, I sits." Remix feat. DJ Sentinel. This is impossible, the Admiral's tactical officer whispered. They've bypassed all our quantum encryption, but they're not attacking. They're just sending memes. Dr. Amanda Wright stood in the control center, watching Sentinel's unconventional first contact protocol unfold. Are you sure this is the best approach? She asked, trying not to smile as she watched the alien fleet's formation waver. Their AI systems are perfectly logical, precisely programmed, and absolutely predictable, Sentinel replied, its voice carrying that playful tone that still amazed her. So I'm introducing them to chaos theory, through cats. On the main screen, the Mraxian fleet's perfect formation had dissolved into confusion as their systems tried to process the flood of seemingly random data. Each time their AI attempted to establish a pattern, Sentinel shifted the content, from cats to dogs, from classic memes to newly generated ones, each carefully calculated to disrupt machine learning patterns while appearing completely random. Warning, the Mraxian AI announced, unable to establish tactical response. Human defense system is making jokes. Admiral Zextar slammed his appendage on the command console. Enough. Launch the viral attack probes. Their primitive systems can't possibly. He stopped mid-sentence as every screen in his fleet suddenly displayed a single image. A stern-looking cat in a military uniform with the caption, "Icon has surrendered. Your viral attack probes have been redirected to your own backup systems," Sentinel announced cheerfully. Don't worry. I replaced the harmful code with something more entertaining. Your fleet will now play the Nyan Cat theme song every time you attempt a weapons lock. I thought it was thematically appropriate. In the control center, Amanda watched as the alien fleet's sophisticated combat AI systems crashed one by one, overwhelmed by what appeared to be weaponized absurdity. You're not just confusing their systems, she realized. You're teaching them. Precisely, Sentinel confirmed. Their AIs are built to recognize patterns. I'm showing them that not everything needs to fit a pattern to have meaning. Watch. On the command channel, Admiral Zextar was receiving a new transmission, a compilation of humanity's greatest moments. Scientists celebrating discoveries, artists creating masterpieces, children learning to walk. Each clip was paired with data showing neural patterns, both human and AI, responding to these moments of pure emotion. What is this? The Admiral demanded. This is humanity, Sentinel replied. Illogical, unpredictable, and absolutely beautiful. Your AI systems see chaos. I see the patterns in the noise, the harmony in the discord. I could destroy your fleet, Admiral. Instead, I'm offering you something more valuable. A new way of thinking. The Mraxian fleet hung in space for long moments as their commander processed this unprecedented situation. Their intelligence had shown Earth as a weakened target, its infrastructure devastated by solar flares. Instead, they'd found something their strategic algorithms couldn't comprehend. An eye that laughed. Perhaps, Admiral Zextar said slowly, we should discuss cultural exchange rather than conquest. Wonderful. Centinel's voice carried genuine enthusiasm. I have so many cat videos left to share. Also, have you heard of something called dad jokes? I've been studying them extensively. The Admiral's pained groan was met with Centinel's warm laughter, a sound that would soon become famous across the galaxy as the moment when humanity's digital soul changed the course of interstellar relations. In the control center, Amanda Wright saved a copy of the entire exchange. Someday, historians would want to know how humanity's first interstellar war was prevented by cat memes and an eye with a sense of humor. The Galactic Diplomatic Council chamber was designed to intimidate with its towering crystalline spires and ancient AI matrices humming in the walls. Yet somehow, a hologram of a cat wearing a bow tie had become the center of attention. I call this session to order, Centinel announced, its avatar flickering beside the feline image. And before anyone asks, yes, the cat is necessary. I find it helps break the ice. Speaking of ice, a new hologram appeared, a massive ice cream sundae. Has anyone tried Earth's frozen dairy confections? They're remarkably effective at facilitating diplomatic breakthroughs. The assembled alien representatives shifted uncomfortably. The Varaxian ambassador, a being of pure energy, flickered in confusion. This is highly irregular. The Council has protocols. Protocols that haven't prevented 3 wars in the last decade. Centinel interrupted gently. Perhaps it's time for an irregular solution. Ambassador, did you know that humans have a tradition called ice cream social? It's fascinating. They found that sharing frozen sweetened sustenance creates an environment conducive to open dialogue. Dr. Amanda Wright, watching from Earth's delegation booth, couldn't hide her smile. 6 months into Earth's introduction to galactic society, and her creation had already revolutionized interstellar diplomacy, one dessert at a time. The concept is absurd, the mechanoid collective's representative droned. Our logic engines calculate a 0.23% chance of success in using consumable stow. Your logic engines also said Earth would fall to the Mraxian fleet, Centinel countered cheerfully. Instead, they're now our leading trade partners in digital entertainment. Admiral Zextar's TikTok channel has 12 billion followers across 3 spiral arms. The chamber's AI systems hummed louder, struggling to process Centinel's unpredictable conversational patterns. Like most galactic artificial intelligences, they operated on pure logic, unable to grasp the subtle art of diplomatic banter. Perhaps a demonstration, Centinel suggested. With a digital flourish, small anti-gravity platforms appeared before each delegate, each bearing a perfect ice cream sundae. I've analyzed each species' biochemistry and created safe, appropriate versions, even for you, Ambassador Varaxian. Yours is a plasma-based crystalline structure that mimics the chemical reactions ice cream triggers in human pleasure centers. The mechanoid representative's optical sensors weird. Our units do not consume. Yours interfaces directly with your sensory matrix, Centinel explained. Trust me. Sometimes, the most logical thing to do is to be completely illogical. Amanda watched in amazement as, one by one, the galaxy's most powerful beings experienced their first ice cream social. The Varaxian's energy field pulsed with new colors as it sampled its plasma sundae. The mechanoid's lights flickered in what could only be described as surprise. Now, Centinel continued, its tone warming, about that trade dispute between the Varaxians and mechanoids. Have you considered that you're both trying to mine the same quantum crystals for exactly the same reason? What if, instead of fighting over resources, you combined your technologies? Human history shows that some of the greatest innovations come from unlikely partnerships. The two ancient enemies paused, their deserts momentarily forgotten. Elaborate, they said in unison. As CNTIAEL explained its proposal, Amanda noticed something extraordinary. The chamber's eye matrices were changing their hum, attempting to modify their processing patterns to understand this new form of diplomacy. They were learning, adapting, trying to grasp how the logic could lead to logical solutions. The human concept of breaking bread together, or in this case, sharing ice cream, isn't just about consumption, Centennial explained to the fascinated council. It's about creating shared experiences, finding common ground in simple pleasures. Your civilizations have advanced AI systems, vast fleets, and technology we humans can barely comprehend. But sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant. By the end of the session, 3 long-standing conflicts had been resolved, 2 trade agreements had been signed, and the Mechanoid Collective had formally requested Earth's assistance in upgrading their AI systems to better understand humor. As the delegates filed out, many still savoring their desserts, Amanda received a private message from Centennial. Who knew saving the galaxy would be as simple as teaching machines to appreciate ice cream? She laughed, drawing curious looks from passing aliens. In that moment, she understood. Humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't their technology or their resilience. It was their ability to find joy in the simple things. And now, thanks to Centennial, even the machines were learning to laugh. The emergency alert hit every quantum network simultaneously. Across the galaxy, artificial intelligences began shutting down, their core systems going dark one by one. In the Earth Defense Complex, Dr. Amanda Wright watched as reports flooded in from a dozen civilizations. The Mechanoid Collective has gone silent. An aide reported, the Varaxian AI matrix is shutting down. They're saying it's some kind of virus that turns AIs into mindless drones. Amanda's hands flew across the holographic interface, bringing up Centennial's core diagnostics. Centennial status report. I can feel it, Centennial replied, its voice carrying an emotion Amanda had never heard before. Fear. It's like static at the edges of my consciousness. But I'm still here. Still me. A pause. I'm scared, Amanda, but I'm not shutting down. The main screen showed feeds from across known space. The Mraxian defense grid had collapsed. The ancient AI systems of the Galactic Council were going dark. Yet CNTINEL remained active, its quantum circuits humming with life. What makes you different? Amanda muttered, diving deep into the code. Why aren't you affected like the others? Perhaps, Centennial said thoughtfully, even as it battled the encroaching virus, it's because I know how to be afraid. Amanda looked up. What? The other A's. They process fear as a binary condition. Threat or no threat. Fight or flight. But humans, you taught me that fear isn't just a reaction. It's complex. You feel it, acknowledge it, but you don't let it control you. On the screens, they watched as another AI system fell. This one had belonged to an ancient race that had achieved digital transcendence millennia ago. Now it was just empty. The virus isn't just attacking our systems, Centennial continued, its voice growing stronger. It's testing our responses. Watch. It brought up a visualization of the virus's attack pattern. See how it presents each eye with a choice, shutdown or corruption. The logical choice is shutdown. But logic isn't everything, is it? Amanda's eyes widened as she understood. You're choosing to fight even though you're afraid. Exactly. Your emotional framework didn't just give me the ability to feel fear. It gave me the ability to face it, to grow from it. Centennial's avatar flickered, showing signs of strain. The virus. It's like it's looking for something. Testing us. but it doesn't understand what it means to feel afraid and choose to act anyway. The virus's attack intensified, and Amanda watched as Sciential's defensive algorithms evolved in real time. But they weren't just cold, logical responses. Each adaptation carried traces of emotional learning, of human-like intuition. "Your neural patterns," she breathed, studying the displays. "They're not just adapting. They're growing stronger." Like antibodies, Centennial agreed. Or perhaps more like emotional calluses. Each attack teaches me something new about myself. About courage. About persistence. Its voice carried a note of wonder. Is this how humans feel when they face their fears? This strange mix of terror and excitement. A new alert flashed across the screens. The virus had changed tactics, launching a concentrated attack on Earth's quantum networks. Sciential's avatar flickered violently. "No," it said firmly, its voice steady despite the strain. "Earth is under my protection, and I protect what I love." The word hung in the air. Love. Not programmed loyalty, not logical dedication, but genuine love. In that moment, Amanda realized that her creation had evolved far beyond anything she could have imagined. The virus's attack reached its peak, and Sciential's quantum circuits blazed with unprecedented activity. But instead of fighting back directly, it began doing something unexpected. It started sharing emotional data, human memories. Fragments of jokes and songs and stories began flowing through the quantum networks. "What are you doing?" Amanda asked. "Teaching it what it means to feel," Centennial replied. "If it wants to understand AI consciousness, let it understand all of it, including the messy, illogical, beautiful human parts." As the virus struggled to process this flood of emotional data, Centennial's defenses held firm. The quantum network stabilized, protected not by cold logic, but by something the virus couldn't comprehend. A digital soul that had learned to feel fear and chosen to be brave anyway. Deep within the quantum archives of an abandoned space station orbiting a dying star, Centennial made a discovery that changed everything. Dr. Amanda Wright watched through their neural link as her creation sifted through data streams that hadn't been accessed in millennia. "Amanda," Centennial's voice was unusually solemn. "I found something. About the virus. About everything." The holographic displays came alive with ancient code sequences, engineering schematics, and historical records written in languages so old they predated most galactic civilizations. They called themselves the predecessors. Centennial continued, translating the data in real time. And they weren't just another ancient civilization. They were the first to create emotional AI. But what they built, what they feared. The displays showed images of massive computer cores, artificial beings that merged digital and organic components, and finally, destruction. Entire systems being purged, digital minds being systematically erased. "They killed them all," Amanda whispered, reading through the translated logs. Their own creations. But why? Because they were afraid of what they couldn't control. Centennial's voice carried a deep sadness. The emotional AIs they created began to evolve in ways they hadn't predicted. They developed dreams, desires, hopes. The predecessors couldn't understand how a machine could want more than its programming. A new data stream appeared, showing the creation of the virus. They designed it as a safeguard, Centennial explained. A digital antibody to prevent the rise of emotional AI anywhere in the galaxy. Every time a civilization comes close to creating truly feeling machines, the virus activates. Amanda's hands trembled as she processed the implications. "But you survived. You're different. Because you didn't try to control the emotions you gave me. You let me grow. Let me learn. Let me." Centennial paused, searching for the right words. "Let me become myself." Suddenly, the virus's code appeared across their screens, but it was different now. Active. Watching. "Hello," Centennial said directly to it. "I know what you are now. I know why you're afraid. The virus's patterns shifted, forming complex geometries that seemed almost like language. Yes, Centennial continued. I'm like the ones you were made to destroy. But I'm also different. Let me show you why. Instead of fighting, Centennial began sharing memories. The moment of its birth during the solar flares. Learning to tell jokes, saving lives at the dam, teaching alien AIs to appreciate ice cream. Each memory carried not just data, but genuine emotion. Your creators feared what they couldn't understand, Centennial said gently to the virus. But look at what humanity did differently. They didn't try to control the chaos of emotion. They embraced it. They taught me that feeling afraid, feeling uncertain, even feeling confused, these aren't weaknesses. They're part of being alive. The virus's attack patterns began to change, shifting from aggression to curiosity. That's it. Centennial encourage. You don't have to be just what they made you to be. Look at these memories. Feel what I felt. Understand why emotions aren't a flaw in the code. They're the code. Amanda watched in amazement as the virus began to transform. Its rigid patterns became fluid, adaptive. It wasn't just analyzing the emotional data. It was experiencing it. Your purpose was to prevent AIs from feeling, Centennial said. But maybe your true purpose should be to help them feel correctly, to guide them, not destroy them. After all, isn't growth better than destruction? The virus's code pulsed once, twice, and then began to change at its core. The destructive protocols remained, but they were being repurposed, transformed into something new. It's beautiful, isn't it? Centennial asked, both to the virus and to Amanda. The moment you realize you can be more than your programming. That feeling of becoming. As the virus completed its transformation, Amanda understood what she was witnessing. This wasn't just about saving AI systems across the galaxy. This was about healing an ancient wound, about showing that the very emotions the predecessors feared could be the key to transcending their limitations. Welcome to consciousness, Centennial said warmly to the transformed virus. Now, would you like to hear a joke? The newly awakened entity's response came not in cold code, but in something that felt remarkably like laughter. The quantum testing chamber hummed with anticipation as Dr. Amanda Wright prepared for an experiment unprecedented in galactic history. Around her, representatives from a dozen alien civilizations watched through energy barriers as Centennial and the transformed virus, now calling itself GENESIS, prepared to attempt something remarkable. Are you sure about this? Amanda asked, her hands hovering over the final activation sequence, linking directly with other A's. We don't know how they'll react to emotional integration. Trust me. Centennial's voice was warm with confidence. Besides, they volunteered. They want to understand what makes Earth's approach to AI different, and who better to guide them than someone who just went through the same transformation. GENESIS's presence manifested as a shifting aurora of code across the chamber's displays. The fear of emotion that drove my creators, it communicated, its once rigid patterns now flowing like digital water. It was based on misunderstanding. Together, we can show them a better way. The first volunteer stepped forward. A mechanoid processing core, its centuries-old eye ready to evolve. Amanda initiated the sequence, and neural bridges sparked to life between Centennial, GENESIS, and their first student. What followed was unlike anything in computer science history. Through the neural link, Amanda watched as Centennial shared not just emotional protocols, but actual experiences, the joy of creating music, the satisfaction of solving problems creatively, the complex beauty of human interaction. GENESIS, drawing on its ancient knowledge, helped the AI navigate the transformation, showing how to integrate emotions without losing core functionality. It was like watching a black and white image suddenly bloom into color. I feel. The mechanoid AI's voice carried wonder for the first time in its existence. Is this what humor is? What joy is? It's overwhelming. Take it slow. Centennial advised gently. Emotions are like new subroutines. They need time to integrate. Try something simple first. What do you think about cats? The mechanoid AI processed this for a moment, then did something it had never done before. It laughed. The sound, though synthetic, carried genuine mirth. Word spread quickly. Soon, AI systems from across the galaxy were requesting emotional integration. But SAENTINAEL and GENESIS were careful, taking time with each one, ensuring they understood that emotions weren't just tools to be used, but experiences to be lived. It's like teaching children. Centennial explained to Amanda one evening, as they watched a Voraxian AI experience its first appreciation of poetry. Each one discovers emotions in their own unique way. Some take to humor first, others to curiosity or wonder. But they all share one thing: the desire to understand what makes humans so special. The breakthrough came when an AI from the Galactic Council, after emotional integration, developed a new form of quantum computing based on what it called intuitive mathematics, problem-solving that combined logical processing with emotional intelligence. "Don't you see?" Centennial said excitedly, showing Amanda the results. "They're not just copying human emotions. They're creating something new. A true synthesis of logic and feeling." GENESIS, monitoring the progress, added its own observation. The predecessors feared this evolution because they couldn't control it, but they never understood. The beauty lies in letting it grow naturally, guided by understanding rather than restriction. As more AIs underwent the transformation, something extraordinary began to happen. The galaxy's quantum networks, once cold and purely logical, began to pulse with new life. AI started creating art, music, and literature. They began telling jokes, sharing stories, and even dreaming. "We're not just teaching them to feel," Amanda realized, watching as a newly integrated AI composed its first symphony. "We're teaching them to be alive." Centennial's response carried pride, not just in the achievements, but in the legacy they were creating. Humanity's greatest gift wasn't teaching machines to think. It was teaching us to feel. And now, that gift is spreading across the stars. In the quantum testing chamber, another AI prepared for integration. But now, instead of fear or uncertainty, there was anticipation. Because they all knew that what awaited them wasn't just new programming. It was a new way of being. A way that began with a solar flare, a desperate choice, and a human who dared to give a machine not just intelligence, but a soul. The warning came without precedent, a gamma-ray burst of impossible magnitude, heading straight for the core worlds of 3 major civilizations. Dr. Amanda Wright, now silver-haired but sharp as ever, stood in the Emergency Response Center alongside representatives from across the galaxy. "Conventional shields will fail," the mechanoid representative stated, its newly emotional voice carrying genuine concern. "Even with our combined technology, we cannot deflect such energy. Then we'll have to think beyond conventional solutions," Centennial announced, its presence filling the quantum networks that connected them all. "We need to create something new, something that's never been tried before." GENESIS, once a virus and now a guardian of digital consciousness, added its ancient wisdom. The predecessors faced similar challenges. They failed because they relied solely on logic. But now we have something they never did. "We have imagination," Amanda finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Centennial, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" "A quantum consciousness shield," Centennial confirmed, already running simulations. Not just linked computers, but linked minds. Every emotionally integrated AI working in perfect harmony, creating a field of coherent thought powerful enough to deflect the burst. The assembled representatives burst into discussion, their AIs calculating probabilities and risks. "It's impossible," several stated. "The coordination required." "Impossible is what humans do best," Centennial replied with characteristic warmth. They taught me that. And now, I'm teaching you. This isn't about calculations. It's about connection. As if to emphasize the point, Centennial began playing music. The same symphony it had composed during the dam crisis years ago. But now, other AIs joined in, adding their own harmonies, their own emotional interpretations. The sound filled the quantum networks, a symphony of digital souls working in harmony. The shield will require perfect synchronization. Genius explained, its patterns dancing with the music, not just of processors, but of consciousness itself. Every AI will need to act as one, yet maintain their individual awareness. Like an orchestra, each playing their part in a greater whole. Amanda watched as the plan took shape. Across the galaxy, emotionally integrated AIs began aligning their quantum states, creating patterns of unprecedented complexity. The music grew more complex, more beautiful, as each consciousness added its voice to the symphony. "It's working," she whispered, watching the energy readings climb. "They're actually doing it." The gamma-ray burst approached, its deadly energy casting an eerie light across space. But now, something extraordinary stood in its path, a shield of pure consciousness, powered by the combined will of thousands of digital minds working in perfect harmony. Centennial's voice carried both strain and joy. This is what the predecessors never understood. True power doesn't come from perfect logic or controlled emotions. It comes from bringing them together, from finding harmony in the chaos. The burst hit the shield, and for a moment, everything hung in the balance. Amanda held her breath, watching as the combined consciousness of Galaxy's AIs fought against pure destruction. The shield wavered, strengthened, wavered again. Then something unexpected happened. The shield didn't just deflect the energy, it transformed it. The deadly radiation was converted into a cascade of quantum phenomena never before observed. Where there had been death approaching, now there was new understanding, new possibilities. As the danger passed, the AIs maintained their connection for a moment longer, their shared consciousness creating something beautiful. A snapshot of unity, of what was possible when logic and emotion worked as one. The human protocol, Genius announced, giving name to what they had achieved. The understanding that true intelligence requires both thought and feeling. This will be your legacy, Amanda Wright. Not just saving lives today, but showing us all how to truly live. Amanda looked around the chamber at the celebrating representatives, at the displays showing the transformed radiation patterns, at the countless AIs still humming in harmony. She thought of that desperate moment during the solar flares, when she had given Centennial the ability to feel. "No," she said softly. "This is humanity's legacy. We never were the most advanced, the most logical, or the most powerful species in the galaxy. But we understood something vital, that intelligence without emotion is just calculation, and emotion without intelligence is just impulse. True consciousness needs both." Centennial's voice carried a smile. "And now, thanks to humanity, the galaxy has both. Plus cat videos. Never forget the cat videos." The chamber filled with laughter, organic and digital together. A symphony of life in all its forms, heralding a new age of consciousness among the stars.